this lesson is going to talk about ratios. We're going to talk about the definition of ratios. We're going to talk about what is the relation between ratio and fractions. And then we're talking about calculating ratios. Basically, when we are talking about ratios, this is a tool that is very useful for architects in the creation of blueprints, in the creation of maps as well. It's scaling things down or scaling things up depending on what we're doing. Basically, if we want to start, let's say I have a building and I want to create a model of this building. Of course, I'm not going to be able to create a model that is an exact real-life version of the building and of what it looks like. I can scale it down to something that is useful. If I wanted to put it on a table is about probably much smaller than this, but if I wanted to scale it down, I could scale the building down to something about this size, which is manageable and which is something that I can move around and show. The difference from here to here is the ratio between the two, the ratio in terms of size, because everything in the original building will have to be miniaturized to the smaller building. They use this in science, they use this in engineering, architecture, or in every other sector that requires modeling, that requires presentation of certain aspects and certain characteristics. One example, let's say I want to create a map. And the map, there's usually a legend at the side of the map that tells me for example, every 5 miles is 3 centimeters. Every 3 centimeters on the map is the same as 5 miles. So I can have a 3, or of course much less than a 3, because if I'm going to compare the two, the centimeters to the miles, it's a bit odd, but I can have a 3 to 5 ratio. A 3 to 5 ratio meaning if I was ever to, it's a fraction also, or it can be written as such, 3 to 5. These are interchangeable, and this is the relation between fractions and ratios. If I was ever to calculate, let's say I have a distance of 100 or 120 miles. Let's assume that. If I had a distance of 120 miles in reality, and I wanted to convert that into something on the map, what I end up doing is I end up multiplying 120 by 3 over 5, which would give me, this is 3 times 24 because I do the 24 because I do the division first, and then I do the 3 times 24, which is 72 centimeters. I can do the same thing if I had something on the map. Let's say I had something that is 120 centimeters and I wanted to find out the exact distance in miles. In this case, I'm converting back from the map to the world. Remember, this was the 3, this was the 5. What is going to happen? In this case, I'm going to revert the fraction. It is 5 over 3 times 120 in this case, which will give me 200 miles. This, in short, is what ratios are, and this is the very main use of ratios.